How did you feel regaining your strength in your upper body? Were you like back on the gains path? You know what I mean? Were you like, okay, I just did, yesterday I did 8 pull-ups and today I'm going to do 10 and the next day did you get yourself right back in like the old school workout mode from?
Oh yeah.
Just back on the path.
Yeah, man. When I was still in the hospital at Bethesda, I would go into physical therapy, but you guys got a pull-up bar or anything like that? And then, yeah, we have one. They had one in like a closet, and I was like, yeah, I want to do some pull-ups, and so I set the pull-up record for people that had come through, and it got broken by a seal later. But so yeah, I set that pull-up. I was like, let me see how. I never lost the desire to see what I could do. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do a max set of pull-ups and see how many I could do still. But yeah, it was definitely frustrating because I lost a lot of muscle mass. But, once you start doing those exercises, like every time I came in, I wanted to go at 1 more or 2 more or a little bit longer. And I had that same attitude when I started walking. The first day I started walking, I'd maybe stood in my legs for 2 minutes. And the next day I was like, I'm going to try 3 minutes today. Or yesterday I walked 1 time around the little track. I'm going to go twice, just slowly building up and, keep that same
So what's
attitude.
that process? Like standing up for the first time, what does that feel like?
It's wild. I mean, the first thing you got to do is you got to get casted. So they have to make the sockets that go onto your stumps, and they do it. They wrap this plaster around your stump, and they mold it so that it's putting pressure on the right spots, and they take that off. They fill it up with some other kind of plaster material. They take the cast that they made off, and then they pour plastic around that. So then you have basically the mold of your leg. And the first time you step up in it, it's not comfortable at all. It hurts a lot because you're putting pressure on points that you didn't before, and they kind of have to. So you stand up and you're like, okay, well, there's a spot right back there that hurts a lot. So they take it off and they use this hair dryer, make it hot, and they kind of mold it. They push it out so it's not against that spot anymore. And then you put it back on. Okay, that's comfortable. And then you do it for the other one. And for me, yeah, I mean, I couldn't just walk from the first try. I had to have my arms on the parallel bars. Like it was, that slow thing that you see kind of in movies, where I took like maybe 10 steps, and that was it for my first time. I walked 5 steps out.
Is it like balance, or is it
bit
musculature? Like, is it you're using different muscles?
Yeah, so you're walking in a different way than your body's designed to. So when you walk, you just go, kind of forward and back here with your legs. You bend at the knee to get it past the ground so it doesn't skip on the ground. Whereas when you're double above knee amputee, you have to swing your legs out to the side at first because you don't have that knee joint. You can't just bring them, forward. So you kind of have to learn that, and it's a lot of the balance. Your musculature has to kind of get used to what muscles you're using to keep your balance now. So that has to be figured out by your brain and your spinal cord. And then on top of that, just developing the resistance to the discomfort. So it's really not comfortable. And that's kind of probably what – I didn't get tired. Like I could have stood for longer, but it's just my legs were hurting so bad.
Pain.
Yeah, like you could run a mile or you could run a marathon or whatever, but if you have a blister on your toe, then that's going to stop you.
Yeah, it seems like the balance thing. Like sometimes I've hurt my, let's say hurt my ankle or hurt even something as stupid as had a big cut on the bottom of my foot.
Yeah.
And so you can't use your foot the way you normally do, and it totally throws off your balance. And I can't even imagine you're now trying to balance through the perception of your nerves in your stumps.
Yeah.
And how that feels and how you got to kind of adjust for that. That's got to be like learning how to ski or something, learning how to do a balance type sport, surf or something like that. I can only imagine that that's got to be what it's like to get your brain, and like you said, your brain and your spinal cord to be able to adapt to what's happening underneath you when you have a totally new set of sensors down there now.
Yeah, and you have to also keep for a double above knee amputee. I mean, all this stuff I'm saying is just double above knee amputees, but you're also losing 2 joints that help with balance. So an able-bodied person, if they want to make a small adjustment, they use their ankle, and then they can use the knee, and then they can use the hip. But double above knee, all we have is the hip. So it's an extra challenge learning how to make these adjustments with just your hips. But it's a lot like a dog that has a missing leg. The first time he goes to walk, he kind of just figures it out, and he just learns that new method, and it's pretty much a similar thing. You adapt to it, and you figure it out.